Yo, so here is an interesting video that I thought I would do. I was having a conversation with one of my buddies yesterday, and we were discussing how persuasion works, because he was watching my video on the Whatever podcast. The Whatever podcast, fresh and fit, you know those ones. And no, I won't be exposing you to any more of the dim-witted ones, don't worry. Because someone in the comment section said yesterday, do people just watch these videos to see bimbos get owned? Yeah, basically, that seems to be the long and short of it. But something that I thought was curious is the difference between what you think is happening versus what you're absorbing by watching that. Because, let's be real, I think most of the girls who go on that show are basically OnlyFans girls. Very much operating on the principle of any publicity is good publicity. And then considering how rude, deluded, and alarmingly ignorant almost all of them actually are, it says a lot about their branding and really that they have nothing else going for them except their looks. But they're also very pro-feminist, which is laughably ironic on so many levels. Yes, feminism is all about women are more than just their bodies. So they're now going to claim that feminism can shamelessly be used to peddle themselves. Brilliant. Now, as far as I can tell, their politics has liberated them from nothing but shame, grace, and dignity. Because no one will look at the modern woman and think they're better than the ones prior to the sexual revolution. For now, they value materialism and seemingly nothing else, which is why they can't understand why men find them grotesque and unappealing. And when you look at the premise of the show, it's a bunch of, well, comparatively speaking, enlightened gentlemen trying to diagnose the rotting degeneracy of society. And on the other side of the table, you have the manifestation that is the rotting degeneracy of society. And really, that's as far as it goes. Don't think for a second any of those girls have any clue about what's really going on. They don't. People don't learn when information is presented to them, especially when they have no reason to change, and especially not when they have massive egos that protects the hollowness that is their skulls. People only learn when conditions force them to. The genuinely enlightened persons that seek knowledge for the sake of it, that is a minuscule fraction of society. If you look at the podcast, you're seeing rational men, clueless counterparts, load of common sense, and a level of delusion that might cause you to wish for a nuclear winter, or a meteor shower, go the way of the dinosaurs, because stupidity is rather cringe and painful. And you know, none of the rationality is going to land and sink in. Why would it? They're there to sell their appearance. They're on the show for publicity, not to get wiser. Getting smarter will not benefit their business model in any way. No one goes to a prostitute for philosophy, for heaven's sakes. If they happen to increase their OnlyFans numbers by being on that show, that's a win for them. So here's another way of looking at the format. Don't even think of the right side of the table as people. For the purposes of this discussion, being nothing more than the manifestation of the degenerate corruption, they're really just teaching tools. I mean, if you're an OnlyFans chick, no one is interested in what you have to say, let's be real. It's not a show about men teaching the dim-witted. It's not that at all, especially if they aren't there to be taught. They're there to raise a profile and apparently sacrifice any fleeting hope of dignity. Then again, they're OnlyFans chicks. It's a foreign concept to them, but anyway, very strange they think they're so amazingly feminist, yet their entire outlook of their self-worth is based on how many lonely men can throw dollars at them. How are you anything more than a digital stripper at this point? Which begs the question, what do the men get out of it? Same thing. The bass guy Andrew has raised his profile by being on that show, and they get paid. And what do you, the audience, get? Well, aside from a potential headache, depression, and this desire to hit the red button, the chance to essentially watch the intellectual equivalent of Mike Tyson uppercutting toddlers. But ultimately, there is an audience. The job of the men is not to convince the women of anything. That's an overwhelming exercise in futility. No. They're there to teach you, the audience. And the other side of the table, they're but tools to be used for the job. Oh, and here's another reason to keep the show around. It really pisses off lefties. Saying things like this. But as the Whatever podcast demonstrates, all you really need for a hit show is a carefully curated selection of 30-second clips where you frame women as hopelessly dumb creatures and blast them off without context on Twitter. Otherwise known as just letting them talk. And honey, I've seen the clips even with context. Trust me, you don't look any better. Ever. I love the cope with that paragraph, as if the gimmick of them being owned would somehow dissipate with more information. But they pull up a girl who went on the podcast saying being on OnlyFans itself is tacky, to another girl after she was asked what does she earn being an OnlyFans model, and being rather obtuse about it. Now despite that, they're open about why they're on the show. The author writing, I would guess they cast women based on their looks and the chances they will say something inflammatory or controversial. They're modern women and the show discusses issues of dating. Trust me, saying something stupid is only a matter of time. Of course, these guests are putting themselves in that position and they bear some responsibility for all of this. Yeah, that requires self-awareness and dignity. and a Y chromosome. Even if they sound terrible, it's still views and attention that might translate to a bigger following and the financial opportunities that come from that. And Nicole is transparent about this being the motivation behind her appearances. I love that it's going viral because it's gained me peer support, social media followers, and OnlyFans subscribers, which at the end of the day is why I agreed to go on any podcast. To increase my social media presence, she says. Told you, they will learn nothing. Nothing at all. It is shameless self-promotion, no matter how degrading or stupid they look outside the realm of flexing their flesh. What a great society we've cultivated. A load of self-professed feminists who can't think and will happily show the world how stupid they are as long as it gets more eyeballs on their bodies. And yet they wonder why men don't take them seriously. Oh, what a mystery that is. So basically, we're watching a race between how fast men can wise up to the reality that throwing your hard-earned money at these things is pathetic, and how quickly that can break the binds of simpery and ultimately tank their business model. Frankly, I think another useful tool would be to shame those who engage in this practice, both consumer and producer. I think we'd end up with a far healthier society. Scratch that, I know we would. Cheers for watching, and once again, I apologize for nothing.